Hi, I'm Bill Patrick. The program you're about to see is part of a vintage series called Car and Track, which was originally produced during the first half of the 1970s. Before we begin the show, though, a brief program note. Using as many as 8 cameras to shoot a single event, Car and Track captured some of the great NASCAR competitions of the era, one race at a time. Over the course of some 80 episodes through 6 seasons, series producer and host Bud Lindemann lovingly documented a unique era in American motor racing. While the race action contained in the series remains timeless, the program itself has not dated quite so gracefully. Although the years have not been overly kind to Bud's decidedly low-key introductions and interviews, we believe them to be an integral part of this one-of-a-kind series. So please, stay with us now as Speed Vision presents a rare slice of 1970s Americana, Car and Track.
Hi there. Somebody just turned on our light bulb. I don't know if we have a better idea, but we do have another edition of Car and Track. I think you'll like this one, too, as we visit another NASCAR short track in Martinsville, Virginia. And believe me, this Old Dominion 500 provides some of the greatest thrills in stock car racing. And our tear-it-apart special of the test track this week is Ford's #1 plushmobile, the LTD. It's bigger, longer, and stronger. It's easily the best one yet from Fomoco. Hey, we'll be back, ready to drop the green flag in 1 minute. As I've mentioned on previous shows, we've jerked our camera crews away from their families and dragged them around the country from coast to coast every weekend to capture some of the greatest racing action ever assembled on film. And most of our wildest footage is garnered at the smaller tracks, like today's race at Martinsville, Virginia. You know, when you waltz 40 of the top drivers into the hottest late model stocks in the nation, and then turn them loose on a half-mile track such as this one, well, you suddenly have a show that really socks it to you. And that's just the way it was at the Old Dominion 500. This clean little track was hosting the biggest names in stock car racing, like the Grand National Champion Richard Petty, Bobby Isaacs, who's a constant threat on any racetrack in America. Dodge's hardest charger, Charlie Glotzbach, is on hand. Another Dodge boy, Buddy Baker, he grabbed the win at the Charlotte World 600. Davey Pearson, who just might be the new Grand National Champion. NASCAR's biggest money winner of the year, Cale Yarborough. A new Dodge pilot and the boy voted Rookie of the Year, Pete Hamilton. Here's another reason for Mercury's success on the super speedways this year, Leroy Yarborough. Plymouth's popular Darrell Derringer gets ready to climb aboard. Finally, it's the magic moment as the flagman gives the signal to start engines and waves the cars off the line. Cale Yarborough had the fastest time and starts on the pole in the powerhouse Mercury Cyclone. Buddy Baker in the #2 position driving a Dodge Charger. All cars move up and form behind the pace car with the day's prettiest passenger, Miss Virginia. A jam-packed crowd of 25,000 race fans give all drivers a tremendous ovation. That #17 Ford starting third is Davey Pearson. Alongside him, the Dodge #1 is Pete Hamilton. In the third row, car #27 is a Torino driven by Donnie Allison. Then it's stock car's winningest driver, Richard Petty, in his Hemi Plymouth, followed by Bobby Isaacs, Bud Moore, Leroy Yarborough, Darrell Derringer. Out of the fourth turn, the pace car goes off the track, and all drivers rev them up as they scream down for the green flag. Look out, Baker's going to lose it. They're all over the racetrack, and the yellow flag is out before they complete the first lap. Buddy Baker was fighting it out with Cale Yarborough for the lead. Neither car would give, and Baker lost it on the high side. The front end of that Charger may need a little repair. Baker wheels into the pits, and the crew tries to pull the fender out away from the tire. They also tie the bumper on with a piece of rope. With less than a lap under his belt, Baker's car looks like it ran into a cement mixer. As all cars round out the fourth turn, the green flag falls once again, and this race is officially restarted. Into the first turn, Pete Hamilton has the lead in the Dodge number 1, with Pearson second and Cale Yarborough in the third spot. Cale's Mercury, number 21, displays a battered front fender as a result of his first lap tangle with Baker. Down the front chute, Richard Petty starts to make his bid and moves up. Watch it. A car goes wild in the turn. He's on fire. Gladbach lost it in the first turn right in front of Petty. He crashed hard into the concrete retaining wall. His fuel line broke, and with flame belching out the side, Charlie gets out in a hurry. With a yellow flag out, they tow the Dodge Charger into the infield. Charlie explains what happened to his crew. The car is grim proof of how hard he hit the wall. Just a few laps ago, that Charger had a brand new body. That wall sure played hob with the trunk space. On the restart, Pete Hamilton charges into the first turn to maintain the lead. Now, Ray Hendricks in the Plymouth number 14 is starting to move up on the outside. The umbrellas start to pop open as the Mercury squeezes up the tube to a sultry 98 degrees, and the pit crews are starting to worry about rubber. On the 38th lap, Pearson finds a hole on the inside of Pete Hamilton. He drops a wheel in and comes through to take the lead away. A few laps later, Petty, who's been moving very well in the Plymouth number 43, is camped on Pearson's rear bumper and knocking at the door. Donnie Allison, driving the Ford Torino, decides not to wait for another yellow flag and dives into the pits for new rubber on the right side and a full tank of fuel. Donnie complained about the car running hot. His crew checked under the hood and found a broken fan belt. They changed it and still had him back on the track in less than a minute. And another one goes. Bill Champion, driving the 66 Ford number 10, came through the corner a little too hard and a little too high. He lost it, and the wall claims its third car of the day. With a yellow out, Pearson pits for new tires and fuel. That Holman Moody crew is quick. Richard's brother, Maurice Petty, leaps over the wall as that Hemi-powered road missile number 43 screams into the pits. On the restart, it's Pearson first, Leroy Yarborough second, with Petty third and trying for two. The Wood brothers are a little concerned. Cale didn't pit on that last yellow flag, and they're wondering about his tires. Coming into the third turn, Petty puts the nose of that Roadrunner on the inside of Leroy Yarborough, kicks it, and takes the second spot away. Cale in number 21 is tight on Hamilton going into the third turn and wraps him hard. Yarborough is in a hurry, and he wants Pete to move over, but Hamilton said, "You're going to have to go around me, Daddy." Darrell Derringer wheels his big blue and gold Plymouth into the pits a couple of minutes ago. They just told him the clutch was gone. Number 22 has seen its last lap in this race. Down the front chute, Petty pours the grits into that Hemi Plymouth, and it looks like he'd like to park it inside Pearson's trunk. Maurice Petty, Richard's crew chief, gets a little nervous every time his brother starts rubbing fenders with the leader. Richard caught him. They're locked up out of the second turn, and both cars go number scraping all the way down the back chute. And the crowd goes wild as Petty takes the lead right down the grandstand straightaway. Now Davy Pearson has the second spot with Leroy Yarborough third and Cale is fourth. So right now it's Plymouth, Ford, Mercury, Mercury. Back in the pits, Derringer, whose car is behind the wall, has his helmet on. He's waiting for Ray Hendricks to come in. This heat and heavy traffic got to Hendricks, and he signaled for a relief driver. And Darrell is the boy. He came here to race, and he doesn't care whether it's in his car or somebody else's. There goes another one. It's the Zero Chevelle driven by Don Tarr. He's the physician from Miami, Florida, who races the NASCAR circuit every weekend for relaxation. Hey, there's got to be a better way, Doc. High speeds and heavy traffic on a fast half-mile track like Martinsville takes its toll on even the best drivers. When Doc Tarr lost it and hit the wall, half the field dove down into pit row. We'll be back to catch some of the crews in action right after this message. When Tarr spun into the pit wall, the yellow came out, and these cars were more than ready for a tire change, but they had to do a snake dance to get around him and down pit row. Petty's crew is waiting for him. They check the water, oil, refuel him, and have Richard back on the track in less than 15 seconds. When Cale Yarborough pits, the Wood brothers pulled on new rubber on the right side and cut away part of that bashed-in front fender. He's been using that fender all day to move his competition over. Uh-oh, Pearson's Torino has started smoking. Davy's been running right up there at the top of the heap trying to get his lead back from Petty. Apparently it's not the engine. He hasn't slowed up. It might be rear-end trouble. Martinsville has always been known as an action-packed speedway, but this race is setting new records on every lap. No one is unscathed. In fact, these cars look like Civil War relics. David Pearson finally pits, and almost before he stops, that lightning-fast Holman Moody crew goes to work on the car. About 50 feet down the pits, Junior Johnson looks a little worried about Leroy as the track temperature soars to 148 degrees. Meanwhile, Petty's Plymouth is handling perfectly. Wherever he aims it, that's where it goes. Watch it in the third turn. Leroy Yarborough hops on the merry-go-round. He uncoiled that Cyclone all the way through the turn and down into the infield grass. Meanwhile, in the second turn, another engine blows. That's the 7th one today. A lot of oil has been dumped on this asphalt, and it's slick out there. These drivers don't seem to be worried about the track or the heat. They're driving faster and harder on every lap. After he spun out, Leroy Yarborough got back on the track and made it into the pits for new tires all the way around. Meanwhile, Richard, the Hemi-hearted, moves through this traffic like water through sand. He's passing them high or low. If he can keep the pieces glued together, he just might grab the checkered bunting. Now Buddy Baker pits that battered Charger, and Ray Fox and the boys go to work. Most of the fans thought Buddy was all done after that first lap tangle with Cale. But if the ropes don't break, he just might finish. Hey, that's all for Bobby Allison's Chevelle. The car quit on the back chute, and Bobby coasts through the infield and back to the pits. Wait a minute, the fire crews are swarming all over the pit area. It's Baker's car. The entire rear end is engulfed in flames. A spark ignited the fuel back there. In the blink of an eye, those flames were roaring 20 feet in the air. Just seconds after the flames broke out, the fire crew, along with the boys in the pits, had about a dozen extinguishers on it. And Baker came out of the car like he was launched. This had to be one of the wildest, hairiest races in Buddy's career. And now tired and beaten, he walks back to the garage. On the back chute, the pride of the Southland in the blue number 43, Richard Petty, is still running strong. He may be tired, but that Hemi is humming. Out of the fourth turn and onto the main straight, that Plymouth snarls under the white flag. One more lap, and Monday he goes to the bank. Down the long back chute and once more past the sun-blistered crowd for the checkered flag. Richard Petty is the winner of the Old Dominion 500. He eases that electric blue number 43 Plymouth around the track and pulls up in front of the stand. The crowd gives a tremendous ovation to one of the finest drivers ever to don a helmet. Cale Yarborough followed Petty across the line, and Leroy took third. In the victory circle, Richard happily climbs out of the car. He's been in that seat for 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 56 seconds. It took him that long to win $6,000 for a Sunday drive on a one-way street. Of course, we might add, there were 1,000 left-hand turns, plus some of the wildest traffic in auto racing. That was a pretty wild Sunday afternoon drive, and you can just bet that checkered flag looked awfully good to Petty after 500 arm-weary laps like that one. Well, this represented Richard's 15th win during the past NASCAR season, and up to this time, they were all on the rough and tough small tracks.